The Indian Act controlled multiple different aspects of Indigenous peoples' lives, including status, land ownership, band governance, cultural practices, and more. Another aspect that this law controlled was their ability to purchase and consume alcohol. Because of this amendment made in 1884, it became a felony, and if caught breaking this law, you were liable to up to 6 months of imprisonment, with a minimum of 1 month. It's always been a stereotype when it comes to this law. Whether that's because they didn't want Indigenous peoples in their store because they thought it would decrease the amount of customers, or they thought it would take away from their farm work. One particular misconception, known as the Drunken Indian, is that alcohol abuse is a cultural quality, and that whether you are Métis, Inuit, First Nations, or non-status, you are addicted to the substance. Alcohol was first introduced to Indigenous people during the fur trade when Europeans brought it to negotiate. Trading alcohol became a powerful tool between the Europeans and Indigenous peoples, and it was the Indigenous communities that suffered. The Drunken Indian myth became a further discrimination, as it became a barrier for Indigenous people to obtain employment, find housing, and they weren't allowed to enter restaurants or bars. The trauma from residential schools, the Indian Act, isolation, racism, and more continues to impact the struggles with alcohol amongst Indigenous people.